shifting waters of the river of this life, I was swimming seeking comfort. I was wrestling waves to find a boulder I could cling to, a stone to hold me fast, where I let the fretful waters of this river around me pass. And so I found an anchor, a blessed resting place, a trusty rock I called my Savior. There I would be safe from the river and its dangers, and I proclaim my rock divine, and I prayed to it protect me, and the rock replied, God is a river, not just a stone. God is a wild raging rapids and a slow meandering flow. God is a deep and narrow passage, a peaceful sandy shore. God is a river swimmer, so let go. Still I clung to my rock tightly with conviction in my arms, never looking at the stream to keep my mind from thoughts of harm. But the river kept on coming, kept on tugging at my legs, till at last my fingers faltered and I was swept away. So I'm going with the flow now, these relentless twists and bends, acclimating to the motion and a sense of being led. And this river is like my body now, it carries me along through the ever-changing scenes and by the rocks that sing this song. God is a river, not just a stone. God is a wild raging rapids and slow meandering flow. God is a deep and narrow passage, and a peaceful sandy shore. God is a river swimmer, so let go. God is the river swimmer, so let go.
feel a sermon coming on me. The topic will be sin, and that's what I'm again. If you wanna hear my story, then settle back and just sit tight while I start reviewing the attitude of doing right. You got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, don't mess with Mr. In Between. You got to spread joy up to the maximum, bring gloom down to the minimum, have faith or pandemonium liable to walk upon the scene. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark. What did they do just when everything looked so dark? Man, they said we better accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, don't mess with Mr. In Between. No, don't mess with Mr. In Between. With the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, don't mess with Mr. In Between. No, don't mess with Mr. In Between.
Ella does deserve your applause, absolutely, forever and always. You know, I did this before I asked, is everyone okay if I take my mask off in the pulpit? Is everyone good with that? All right. And we will, I don't know, we will probably be reevaluating all of this in a short while. But at the same time, you know, we keep hearing about resurgences, so we just want to err on the side of safety and be as inclusive as possible to everybody. So at any rate, thank you. Welcome to All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Susan Caldwell, and I serve the church as Director of Religious Education. Our minister is the Reverend Barbara Jarrell, who at present is out of town. She is at the Kerrville Folk Festival doing her musician thing and having a little bit of a vacation for the first time in about 3 years. So yes, that's right. So and you better not be watching this, Reverend Barbara, but if you are, just know that people are happy for you getting this opportunity. And I know she's not here because she is going out of town, but I want to say a special thanks to Claire McDonald, who got us into Field Gay, got us a table at the last minute, an information table. And we spent the day out there, and it was a great event. And one cool thing that happened is we met several people that we'd not met before that came up and said, you know, we've been watching your services online and we really appreciate it. And so it was very gratifying to hear that, and that we don't always know, those ripples in the pond. You don't always know who you're reaching. So that was kind of wonderful. Whatever your age, race, background, nationality, sexual orientation, gender identity, all of the many things that make us who we are, that make us unique. If you are willing and wanting to worship with us, we are very happy that you're here, and you are most welcome. In our tradition, we tend to view the word worship in the context of its Old English roots, which is matters of worth or worthship. And we lift up and contemplate matters of worth as part of our services. And we are very diverse theologically and in other ways. And so our matters of worth may be very different and very varied. And we love that, because that's the way we learn from each other. And so we are united not by a creed, but by a covenant, by the promises that we make to each other for how we will be together in community. And it is not always easy, but it is always interesting, and it is always rewarding to be together and to learn from each other and celebrate those differences and find our common ground at the same time. We wanted to give you some announcements, and I'm going to bring up our board person of the day, Dawn Subasic, to share those with you. Thank you.
Good morning. So glad to be here. I'm glad all of you are here today. And I'm going to go through some announcements, and if you happen to miss any of them, you can find it in the email, the weekly email that goes out, and also at our website, which is allsoulshreveport.org. You can find everything that we're going to go through. So this is a little bit awkward, but I'm actually the volunteer of the month. You can read all about that. We don't have to go into that right now. And a few announcements. Let's see. This Saturday, June the 4th, at 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at AC Steer Park, there is a Pride event, Field Gay.
Oh, that was yesterday.
Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry. It sure was. Well, we don't have to deal with that then. And today is Tie-Dye Sunday. If you're interested, just hang out with us afterwards and just have a good time with the kids. And all right, let's see. Like I said, I'm just reading through these. For RE, for our adult RE class, we are reading a book by Layla F. Saad that is called Me and White Supremacy. Layla Saad is a Black Muslim woman who was raised in the UK but now lives in Qatar, and she has written, taught, and offered workshops to a global audience. Although the book was written for white people to confront their own attitudes in the effort to dismantle racism, people of color have commented that the book has helped with vocabulary dealing with these issues. We meet at this link here, and you're welcome to join. That is at 9 o'clock every Sunday morning. North Louisiana Interfaith, Regional Assembly of Congregations and Citizen Organizations, is meeting Tuesday, June 14th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Let's see, we as a church have committed to bringing at least 20 All Souls members and friends to this event. Basically, imagine if all our organizations worked together to build a way for ordinary people to take action to solve our common problems. We know that we are most effective in creating change in our community and in our state when we work in partnership with others. Please join us for this relaunch and rededication of North Louisiana Interfaith. Zoom lunch continues Tuesdays at noon. There's a link here and in the chat. Bring your lunch or don't to join us for a midweek check-in with your All Souls friends. Giveaway the plate for June 22nd is Louisiana Trans Advocates. Every month, we dedicate all of our non-pledge income to an organization doing the work that best embodies our UU principles and values. For the month of June, which is Pride Month, we have chosen Louisiana Trans Advocates, a statewide organization advocating for the rights of trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people in Louisiana. The local Shreveport chapter of LTA meets here at All Souls every first Sunday of the month at 1:30 p.m. LTA provides support, advocacy, and crisis support for trans people, as well as resource lists of healthcare providers, legal assistance, and a guide to the necessary ID documents for making name and gender changes. To make a Giveaway the Plate contribution to LTA, go to the All Souls donation site, select Giveaway the Plate, and put GATP June or LTA in the comments section. And you may also send a check to All Souls, which you can find on the address on the website. Sponsor circles, a group of church members and others are forming a group that will sponsor a refugee family. We have recently learned that they will either be from Afghanistan or Ukraine. Right now, we are waiting to hear about our assigned family and awaiting their arrival. This is a big responsibility that will take a very intentional group of people. A number of us have made that commitment, but when they arrive, we will need a larger community to help them feel welcome and supported. Visit the website to learn more about the program and email Bennett Upton or Susan Caldwell if you're interested in being added to the Slack workspace where there's a conversation going on about what needs to be done. You can donate money or supplies here. There's a link there. And let's see, you can, if you're interested, you can email louisianaimmigrantfreedom@gmail.com. For opportunities to connect socially in person, you can contact Kathy Osuch at 318-658-1107, or and you can see her email address here. Late Night at the Salty Chalice. This is every Friday night, well, most Friday nights at 10 p.m. And it was founded as just a get-together, virtual gathering where you can relax and hang out with friends. Just another opportunity if you can't make other engagements. And this is hosted most Fridays by Susan Caldwell and sometimes other hosts. And Highland Blessing Dinner is from 5 to 6 p.m. at 520 Olive Street in Shreveport. The Highland Blessing Dinner is now 10 years old, and it's going strong. It's a little different than usual because of the things going on with the pandemic, but we're slowly coming back to serve the numbers we used to serve in person pre-pandemic. Volunteers are needed for setup and cleanup, for greeting and welcoming our guests, filling and refilling beverages. All volunteers must be vaccinated. You have to show proof of vaccination, and masks are encouraged but not required. If you come by 4:30, you can help with setup, and if you stay after, you can help with cleanup, and that would be great. In fact, the first Thursday of the month, which is this Thursday, right?
No, it was this past.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, you're welcome any Thursday, but specifically on the first Thursday of the month, we are the co-hosts. So it's always very important for us to make a good showing and to help out with that. And so gloves are provided, but masks are encouraged if you bring them. And meditation with Larry Andros continues on Saturday mornings at 10:30 a.m. via Zoom. It's a weekly 20-minute sitting Buddhist meditation followed by a teaching. If you are interested and you want to contact Larry, you can contact him by email or by texting or calling 318-272-0014. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the service.
Thank you. Here, I'm going to pass this. Thank you, Dawn. And yes, Dawn is the Volunteer of the Month. She is a faithful Building and Grounds volunteer. She serves on the board. She has participated in worship, and she organized that awesome camp out that if you were a part of that, you know how great it was. And If you weren't, you want to get on our email list so you can be part of the next one. We had an overnight here on the church grounds, and it was wonderful, and it was her idea, and she brought it together. So for many, many reasons, she is the Volunteer of the Month, and I was remiss in not mentioning that up front. Also, I'm passing around, I know a lot of you have signed it already, but the sign-in for the Interfaith Assembly. We are over our 20 people having signed up, but it's always good to get some cushion in there. So if you haven't signed up, again, it's June 14th. It's at Brown Chapel on Centenary campus. Buses run at night in this town because of Interfaith. And we've done some really great statewide work as well, defeating the disastrous Amendment 5 last year. And, you know, we've had some losses too. We've had some victories this year. I believe HB 746 passed, which will limit strictly, will limit solitary confinement for juveniles. So, you know, we take our wins where we can get them. At any rate, I encourage you now. Yeah. I encourage you now to relax. I will say one more thing. I'm sorry. We haven't been passing the baskets since we came back in person, but they are at the back, and so you're welcome to drop off your donations as you would like as you are leaving the service. So now I invite you to take a deep breath, release it. Let your shoulders relax down from your ears. And settle in and just be here. We're called to worship this morning by the words of Thich Nhat Hanh, and actually all of our readings today will come from him. There is a well-known Zen story about a man on a galloping horse. Someone watching him ride by shouts to him, "Where are you going?" The rider turns and shouts, "I don't know, ask the horse." The story is funny, but it's also true because we don't know exactly where we were going or why we were rushing. A galloping horse is pushing us and deciding everything for us, and we follow. That horse is called habit energy. You may have received this energy from your parents or your ancestors or just life. For example, even though we know that if we say something mean, we'll create suffering for ourselves and for those around us, we still say it. Later, we may regret it and say, "I couldn't help it, the urge was stronger than me." And though we sincerely promise ourselves that the next time will be different, under similar circumstances, we say and do things that are hurtful not only to others, but to ourselves as well. That is what is meant by habit energy. Our task then is to become aware of this habit energy and not to let it push us around anymore. We can smile at it and say, "Hello there, my habit energy. I know you are there." So the first way to take care of yourself is to learn how to stop and look inside. Stopping doesn't mean sitting still. Even when you sit in one place, your mind can be drawn into thinking about the past, the future, or about your projects, and that is not stopping. So stopping is going back to the here and now and touching the wonders of life that are always available. And I've asked Ava Kate Peck to come and help me lead the chalice sliding. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the Church of the Loving Heart. Together with mind, hands, and heart, we care for the earth and for each other. Would you like to come and light? Yeah. Fire consumes and casts a bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears about the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us a path of joy and peace. Will you rise in body or spirit and join me in saying the unison affirmation? It's just printed either on the screen or in the printed order of service. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the sacred. Thus do we covenant with each other. And I've asked some choir members to help out with the song leading today. So Judy and Pam and Bob. The hymn is For All That Is Our Life, number 128, or the words will be on the screen. Thank you all very much. I'm not a good multitasker when it comes to playing and leading singing, so very much appreciate the help. As I said earlier, my readings and the story today come mostly from the Vietnamese Buddhist monk named Thich Nhat Hanh. During his life, he became very famous, not only for protesting the Vietnam War, but for making connections and friendships with people of other faiths and often teaching them how to meditate. His friends and students called him Thay, T-H-A-Y, but it's pronounced Thay, which means teacher. And among his many books, he wrote this wonderful book for children called A Pebble for Your Pocket. that's actually a pretty wonderful book for anyone of any age. It's full of stories and teachings about important ideas, and one of the teachings is about how we respond to anger. We all get angry or upset sometimes. And Ty says, maybe your sister or brother does or says something you don't like. And when you're angry, usually you just want to scream at the other person or cry or do or say something to hurt the other person back. You ever had that feeling that I just want to hit back? I want to answer back. I want to speak up to this. We think that saying something cruel to the other person will make us feel better. Does it, though? Does it make us feel better? But instead, that person just looks for something even more cruel to say, and neither person knows how to stop. Instead, when you feel angry, try to stop and return to your breathing. Ty liked to say, breathing in, I know I am angry. Breathing out, anger is still there. He would do this for 3 or 4 breaths until he could feel a softening of the anger inside. Ty reminded us that our anger is part of us and we should not pretend that we are not angry. The same applies when we feel sad or confused or lonely. We need to learn to take care of our emotions, to take care of our anger. When we feel angry, he said, we should think of our anger as maybe our little baby sibling. And if our baby sibling is maybe the one that made us angry at that moment, then maybe our puppy or our kitten or something gentle and kind and worthy of your love and compassion and tenderness. A small being that needs us to treat them with tenderness and love. And when you return to your breathing, you say, breathing in, I know I am angry. And breathing out, I am taking good care of my anger. That doesn't necessarily mean that your anger will go away immediately, but you're safe because you're still taking good care of your anger the way that a loving parent would take care of a crying baby. Eventually, you'll find that you can learn to smile at your anger. Breathing in, I see anger in me. Breathing out, I smile at my anger. And this doesn't mean just keep smiling, even if you're miserable. It doesn't mean that. On the contrary, it means you're taking the time to act with love and compassion for yourself by taking care of your strong feelings, by acknowledging and honoring those feelings. But can we always remember to stop and breathe when we are angry or upset or sad? That's really easy, right? That it just comes to all of us like that, right? It can be hard. And so I actually forgot my prop down here, so you have to imagine it, but I know you all have really good imaginations. Oh, you can close my email. I'm so sorry. It's Thunderbird, and just close it. Just hit the, thank you. I'm so sorry. As we come into this combined service, it's just been kind of interesting. Anyway, as I said, it doesn't come easily, but one thing you can do is go for a walk and find yourself a nice little rock, a pebble or just a small rock, one that you like the look of and that feels good in your hand. And then you take the pebble to a peaceful place where you can be calm. Maybe it's outside, maybe it's in your room, wherever you feel calm and safe, and say, here's my pebble. I'm going to practice with it when things are going wrong in my day. When I'm angry or sad or upset, I will take the pebble in my hand, I will hold it, and I will breathe deeply until I can calm down. And then put the pebble in your pocket or your purse, whatever you carry around, and take it with you where you go. When things go wrong, sometimes you might even just be able to touch the pebble and know that it's there, and just that alone, because you've practiced, just that alone, you will feel yourself kind of soften and let down. Breathing in, I know I am angry. Breathing out, I'm taking good care of my anger. And you do this until you can smile lovingly at your anger, until you can sit with your sadness or your anger or your confusion and take care of it with loving kindness. So maybe think about that as you go through your week. And before I dismiss our tie-dyers, I know that Melissa Lewis is here. Are you going to be here this afternoon collecting food? Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're here now, and I'm sorry. Melissa usually collects food for the Noel Food Pantry on the first Sunday. Do you know what they need right now, or just any? So Jiffy cornbread mix, saltines, staples. And do you want to do it this afternoon? Because we can always just wait. And you want to? Okay. So she will be here from 2 to 4, right? 2 to 4 p.m. She's usually out here in the Grove. Although there will be a meeting going on inside, so if you decide you'd like to be in the air conditioning, this afternoon, the building will be open. So at any rate, food drive for the Noel Food Pantry, non-perishable food. And now let's sing the children and youth to Tie-Dye Sunday. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. And everybody goes to the social hall to start. Our meditation today is from The Lotus Pond, again by Thich Nhat Hanh. In Plum Village, where I live in France, there is a beautiful lotus pond. In the summer, the pond is covered with beautiful lotus blossoms. What is amazing is that all the lotus plants in the pond come from a single tiny seed. I will tell you how to grow a lotus pond. Lotus seeds have to be planted in wet soil. They do not grow well in dry soil, but there is more to planting a lotus seed than simply sticking it into the mud. If you just stick it in the mud, it will not sprout, no matter how long you wait. But it won't die either. There are lotus seeds more than 1,000 years old that, when planted properly, have grown into lotus plants. The secret is that the lotus seed needs some help to sprout. The lotus seed is a kernel with a very hard skin covering it. The seed needs water to penetrate that skin, so you need to make a tiny hole in the seed to let the water in. You can cut it with a knife, you can rub it against a rock. When you do this, then the seed will sprout in 4 or 5 days and then soon become a tiny lotus plant, which will then grow bigger. In the winter, if it gets cold where you are, you need to bring it inside, but by spring you can bring it out and watch it grow even bigger. In a year, you will have a few lotus flowers, and within 3 years, you will have your own lotus pond. It is beauty that grows out of mud. So you see, a huge lotus pond is contained within one tiny seed. It contains all their fragrance and beauty, all the characteristics of the lotus flowers that came before, and we too are like the lotus seed, carrying all that our ancestors have given us, with the potential to develop our talents and to grow in love and compassion, if we are willing to be open and let in all that will help us grow, even in the mud, and not allow fear and anger to harden us against the growth that is possible for us. May we take this knowledge and the hope of these great possibilities with us as we enter the silence.
Sailors set upon the sea, little boat with sails down, paddling so dutifully, knowing not where you're bound. Wouldn't you like to find a way to have all the power of peace today? Wouldn't you like to be able to say nothing's better than this? Nothing's better than this. Sailors set upon the sea, mighty ship with crew around, struggling internally. Never let your guard down. Wouldn't you like to find a way to have all the power of peace today? Wouldn't you like to be able to say nothing's better than this? Nothing's better than this. Sailors set upon the sea, any vessel, any town, floating on the mystery, not a worry to be found. Wouldn't you like to find a way to have all the power of peace today? Wouldn't you like to be able to say nothing's better than this? Nothing's better than this.
For those of you who just started coming or who are here for the first time today, I just wanted to let you know that that song, that's our minister that wrote and was singing that song. She, in addition to being our minister, is a pretty incredible singer-songwriter who's, especially through our virtual time, has graciously given us the gift of her music. So we do appreciate that. We are so happy to have Reverend Joy Walker here to speak to us today. She has been a friend of the congregation for a long time, and she recently retired from 20 years in ministry in the Unity tradition, and before that she spent 30 years in higher education, mostly at the administrative level. She served as a minister of Unity in Texas and Oklahoma and here in Louisiana. She has 3 children, 4 grandchildren, and 8 grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So please help me welcome Reverend Joy Walker.
Positive and eliminate the negative and let
latch on to the affirmative, but don't mess with Mr. In Between. Ah.
Good morning, wonderful ones. It's so good to see you today and to be with you. I love that music. You've got to accentuate the positive. Eliminate the negative. Latch on to the affirmative, but don't mess with Mr. In Between. You've got to spread joy up to the maximum, bring gloom down to a minimum, and have faith, or pandemonium, liable to walk up on the scene. 78 years ago, in 1944, Harold Arlen composed this beautiful music, and Joanna Mercer wrote the words. Accentuate the positive. The song was nominated for an Academy Award at the 18th Academy Award back in 1944, but it was not until 1977. Some of you may have been here then, when Bing Crosby and the Andrews Sisters put out an album and made it very popular. It became a great hit. So this song came to mind last week when Susan called me. I began to think about the words, and I said, you know, stuff happens. Stuff happens. However you defined it. It could be breaking up with your best friend that you've had since you were in elementary school. Or it could be just spilling milk on the floor, but stuff happens. Stuff happens. And so I believe that when stuff happens, we should accentuate the positive. Deepak Chopra tells a story of how he operated on a patient for gallstones. But when he got there, he found an inoperable cancer. In fact, the diagnosis was that she had like 2 months to live. Her family decided that they would not tell her. So, 8 months later, she had no signs of cancer. Several years later, she said to her doctor, you know, a year ago, when I was having surgery for gallstones, I really thought that I had cancer. But since it was gallstones, I made up my mind right then and there that I would never, ever have any other illness again. I know you've heard or read about Dr. Viktor Frankl. During World War II, he was imprisoned by the Nazis just because he was a Jew. His family, his wife, his children, his parents were all killed in the Holocaust. At one time, the prison guard cut the wedding band off of his finger. He said to himself, you can take away my children, my wife, my parents, but there's one thing, even my freedom, but there's one thing you cannot take away from me, and that is my choice of how I will react. Wilma Rudolph, a person who was in college back in my day. We were at Tennessee State University. But Wilma Rudolph was born the 20th child of 22 children born to her parents. She was born prematurely. She wasn't supposed to live. At the age of 4, she contracted double pneumonia and scarlet fever, and it left her left leg paralyzed. She couldn't walk. They put a metal brace on her leg. But at age 9, Wilma decided to take the brace off, and she began to walk. This brace she depended on this brace for 5 years, but she took it off because she went to walk without it. At age 13, she developed kind of a rhythmic walk. Her doctor said it was a miracle that she could walk. But not only did Wilma decide to walk, she wanted to run. So she began running. She joined a race and came in dead last. But she didn't stop running. She kept running and running and running. When there was a race, she would run. And every time for the next 2 or 3 years, she came in last. And then one day, she won a race. Eventually, this little girl who was not supposed to live, who was not supposed to be even able to walk, won three Olympic gold medals, 3 of them. So why do I tell you these stories? And what do these stories have in common? These stories tell us that our present life experience does not have to be impacted by our past. Not even what happened last week, or this morning, or 15 minutes ago. If we accentuate the positive. These lyrics written by Johnny Mercer almost 80 years ago are still relevant today. It is my belief that our life can be enlivened and enriched by the perspective of latching on to the affirmative and accentuating the positive. Too often, we have the habit of blaming our past experience on something that happened to us maybe years ago that's affecting us today. We look back over the years and we say, well, you know, my parents, they were uneducated, or I lived on the wrong side of town, or maybe I was raised by my grandparents, or whatever the situation may be. Whatever this is, we begin to feel less than. We say to ourselves, how can I move forward when my past was so bleak? Then there are those of us who were told by our teacher, or some relative, or someone who is important to us, we will never measure up. So today, we gingerly explain to those who will listen to us that this accounts for the fact that we are lacking in self-confidence, or we're lacking in self-esteem, or we're lacking in whatever you perceive that to be. So I came to you this morning to say, not so. Absolutely not so. You are wonderful, just the way you are. And also, I want to tell you that you and I are 100% responsible for the choices we make. We are responsible, not those out there. We are the ones responsible for the choices we make. You see, stuff happens. But I say, so what? So what? If we grew up in an atmosphere of poverty, so what? If we were rejected even by our parents or our peers, so what? If some significant person in our life told us that we would not amount to anything, so what? That's about them. It's not about you. It's their perspective. It doesn't have to be yours. Our past has absolutely nothing to do with our present moment unless we allow it. Dr. Frankl said that we always have a choice to react in any circumstance that comes in front of us. And that choice, says Johnny Mercer, is to accentuate the positive. It may be true that our patterns of thought and feelings began when we were children. We must come to the realization that our present experiences are viewed based on our present beliefs. What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe? Did you know that a belief is just a thought that we think over and over again until it becomes a belief? Whatever feelings we are having at this very moment is based on our current beliefs. We can go back and we cannot go back and change our past. That was then, and this is now. Whatever occurred to us in the past will always be forevermore. But we can change our present thoughts. We can change our present feelings about whatever is going on with us today. If in the past we were hurt or harmed by another person, that should not have happened. No. However, we must not get stuck back there, stuck on what happened then. Going through life focusing on the past does not serve us for our highest good. It's a bit like driving in a car. It's okay to take a look back in the rearview mirror every once in a while. But we don't go down the highway continuing looking back. Or we might run into something. I found that healthy-minded individuals are not touched by the ways or by the criticisms or whatever negative experiences may be happening in the world. But those who are using their thoughts of limitation about themselves usually react negatively to whatever's going on. They become filled with anger and filled with fear and filled with resentment and refilled for any negative thing that you can think of. The interesting thing is, this reaction does not hurt the world, but it does affect us. It affects our feelings, affects our thoughts, if we allow that to happen. You see, when we are in the positive flow, we are void of all the stresses and the diseases and all those unhealthy things that happen to those who want to focus on the negativity or the negative part of the situation. Several centuries ago, an emperor of Japan commissioned a Japanese artist to paint a particular species of bird for him. Months passed, and then years. Finally, the emperor wanted to know what was going on. So he personally made a visit to the studio of the person he had commissioned for an explanation. The artist set a blank canvas on the easel, and within 15 minutes had completed the painting of a bird. It was a masterpiece. The emperor, admiring both the painting and the artist's great skill, asked why there had been such a long delay. The artist then went from cabinet to cabinet in his studio. He pulled from armloads of drawers of feathers and tendons and wings and feet and claws and eyes and beaks, virtually every aspect of the bird, from virtually every angle. He placed these silently before the emperor, who nodded in understanding. The magnificence of any whole can never be greater than the magnificence of any singular detail. This is my belief, and I'm going to repeat it so you can hear it one more time. The magnificence of any whole can never be greater than the magnificence of any singular detail. I tell you the story just to say that when you have an excellent, fulfilling, joyous life, we must strive for an excellent, fulfilling, and joyous now moment. That within this current year, we must strive for an excellent, fulfilling, joyous month. And within each month, we must strive for an excellent, fulfilling, joyous day. Within each day, we must strive for an excellent, fulfilling, joyous hour. An excellent life is the sum of many excellent now moments, with the understanding that stuff happens. But we have unlimited freedom to choose. All we have to do is to make a choice, to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Joy. It's a good message and one we need right now. Our closing hymn is My Life Flows On, an endless song, and I'll ask Judy and Pam to come back up and help us with singing. And Bob. Oh, Bride and Body are serious. Sorry about that. Finally, we have closing words, again from Thich Nhat Hanh. I don't know, I just felt like Thich fit really well with, with Joy's theme today. People deal too much with the negative, with what is wrong. Why not try and see positive things, to just touch those things and make them bloom? Why not? So accentuate the positive. Okay.
Accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative and latch on to the affirmative, but don't mess with Mr. In Between. You got to spread joy up to the maximum and bring gloom down to the minimum and have faith. A pandemonium liable to walk up on the scene. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the well, Noah in the ark. What did they do just when everything looked so dark? Man, they said we've got to accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative and hang on to that affirmative, but don't mess with Mr. In Between. Jonah in the well, Noah in the ark. Tell me, what did they do just when everything looked so dark? Man, they said we've got to accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative and hang on to that affirmative, but don't mess with Mr. In Between. No, no.